The canvas of combat sports has seen some wild matchups, but nothing quite prepares you for a spectacle like this. Picture the squared circle, the lights bearing down, cameras flickering like lightning bugs in the dark, and in the center, two forces of nature who couldn't be more different, yet somehow destined to collide. On one side, a mountain of muscle, forged in the heat of professional wrestling and honed in the brutal arena of the UFC. On the other, a master technician with the grace of a matador and the heart of a lion. A man who danced through heavyweight boxing like he was born to do it. Brock Lesnar versus Oleksandr Usyk isn't just a fight. It's a clash of realms, of philosophies, of raw power versus refined precision. It's almost poetic how two men can dominate their domains in such contrasting ways. Lesnar, a freak athlete since his college wrestling days, didn't just walk into MMA. He stormed in like a wrecking ball, taking out giants and claiming the UFC heavyweight title in just his fourth fight. That kind of rise wasn't supposed to happen. But with Brock, expectations never really applied. He was a spectacle before he even threw a punch. Meanwhile, Usyk, with a far quieter entrance, built his legacy brick by brick. A former cruiserweight king who moved up to heavyweight and dismantled champions with movement, timing, and an IQ that made even the most dangerous men look helpless. No theatrics, no bravado, just cold, clinical brilliance. What makes this story so compelling isn't just their accolades. It's the worlds they come from. Lesnar represents chaos. When he enters the ring, it's not just a match. It's an invasion. He doesn't box. He bulldozes. His fists swing with the weight of an entire background in raw combat, and the moment he charges, it's like the walls close in. Usyk, on the other hand, is all rhythm. He floats, weaves, counters, and disappears before his opponent realizes they've been outclassed. Watching him is like watching a symphony unfold, structured, fluid, but devastating all the same. And yet, here we are, imagining these two titans face to face. It's the ultimate what if. Could a man built for blitzkrieg and ground and pound find success in a ring that demands patience, poise, and footwork? Could a boxer who thrives on angles and movement survive the storm that is Lesnar's opening rush? The stakes feel otherworldly, even hypothetical. The sheer contrast makes the matchup almost mythical, like trying to pit a thunderstorm against a scalpel. For Lesnar, this isn't just about crossing over. It's about legacy. There's something primal about his approach to fighting, something that says he doesn't care about technique if he can impose his will first. But in the sweet science of boxing, brute strength alone doesn't write history. And Usyk, calm as ever, wouldn't be fazed by size. He's already danced with giants. The question is whether Lesnar could keep up, or if the Ukrainian technician would slowly take him apart round by round, like a mechanic dismantling a machine. There's a wild energy that comes with imagining Lesnar lunging in, throwing wild bombs, trying to cut off the ring while Usyk bounces on his toes, pivoting just enough to leave Lesnar punching at shadows. You can almost hear the crowd erupt with every miss, every clean counter, every moment where power meets patience. It's a fight that speaks to deeper themes, the unstoppable force versus the immovable mind, the fury of instinct against the art of calculation. But not everything can be explained with logic when two warriors step into the spotlight. Lesnar's unpredictability is his weapon. He's made a career out of doing what no one expected. Just when people wrote him off as a wrestler who couldn't hang in real fights, he choked out legends. Just when they thought his body had given up, he came roaring back. And Usyk, often underestimated for his quiet demeanor, doesn't need to talk. His fists do the storytelling. Every jab, every sidestep is a chapter in a masterclass. He doesn't flinch. He adapts. Now imagine the moment. Fight night. Cameras zoom in on Lesnar's face. Stone cold, focused, dangerous. Across the ring, Usyk bounces gently, that familiar half-smile hinting that he's already reading the blueprint of the fight. The bell rings. And for a split second, time freezes. It's not just a matchup of styles. It's a meeting of worlds that were never meant to touch. The raw kinetic force of a man who slammed bodies through cages, now trying to corner a man who dances like wind and strikes with precision. Would Lesnar's early onslaught break through, overwhelming Usyk before he can settle in? Or would Usyk's composure weather the storm, drawing Lesnar into deeper waters, where stamina and skill become king? Every scenario that plays out only adds more questions, more tension. No clear path, no obvious favorite, Just the unrelenting suspense of what happens when the chaos of one universe meets the discipline of another. And as we move deeper into this fantasy, the real question lingers like fog at the edge of a battlefield. What happens when brute force finally catches up to finesse? Or will it ever catch up at all? Because somewhere between Lesnar's clenched jaw and Usyk's bouncing steps lies a moment that could shift everything. A low rumble starts to build, not from the crowd, but from the tension itself, as if the moment before impact is stretching far too long. The bell has already rung, yet both men seem frozen in time, each studying the other like predators unsure who's hunting who. Lesnar inches forward, muscles coil like they've been waiting years for this very second. Usyk, light on his feet, keeps just out of range, refusing to give away even the smallest read. And then, without warning, Brock explodes. It's not a punch, it's a surge. A full-body blitz meant to bulldoze any man standing in front of it. But Usyk, slick as ever, doesn't just dodge. He counters. A left hook snaps Lesnar's head slightly to the side, not enough to hurt, but enough to say, "You're not the only one with weapons." This wasn't supposed to happen. At least not this soon. Everyone expected Lesnar to start wild and Usyk to stay cautious. But this little spark ignites something more dangerous. Lesnar adjusts, paws at his nose, then smirks. A rare sight that chills the crowd more than any scream. He's enjoying this. He knows now, this isn't just a boxing match, and it sure as hell isn't a wrestling brawl. It's psychological warfare, and both men are digging trenches. Then, something odd. Lesnar starts circling. Not charging, not throwing, just stalking. It's subtle, but it throws Usyk off rhythm. For the first time, the Ukrainian finds himself second-guessing the distance. The crowd picks up on it too. The rhythm has changed. It's no longer just speed versus strength. Lesnar's adapting. He's seen enough to realize that chasing Usyk in straight lines won't work. So now, he's playing a different game. Slower, smarter, dangerous in a way that nobody predicted. As the rounds stack up, the ring starts to feel smaller. The footwork, the movement, the angles, everything becomes tighter. Usyk is landing, sure, but Lesnar's not fading. In fact, he seems to be growing stronger. Every miss by Usyk earns a grunt from Brock. Every successful combination is met with a return jab that carries enough force to send a shock through the gloves. The balance is shifting. Usyk's surgical approach, once so fluid and untouchable, is now being tested against an opponent who won't just go away. This isn't just about Lesnar imposing power. It's about endurance, and the monster is proving he has more in the tank than anyone expected. But that's not the twist. Midway through the sixth, with the tension already stretched thin, something unexpected happens. Lesnar switches stances. It's jarring. Not a full conversion to southpaw, but just enough of a shift to mess with Usyk's rhythm. It's a wrinkle no one saw coming. He starts throwing wide hooks from different angles, forcing Usyk to move in directions he's not used to. And suddenly, the slick Ukrainian begins to look mortal. His reactions aren't late, but they aren't early either. Just off by a fraction. Just enough for Lesnar to get close. Too close. And then Brock catches him. It's not a clean shot, more like a hammer crashing through the guard. But it lands and Usyk stumbles. Not down. Not out, but shaken for the first time. The crowd erupts, part disbelief, part exhilaration. No one saw that coming. Lesnar, breathing heavy, doesn't chase. He walks forward slow, measured, knowing he's carved a crack in the armor. Usyk resets, but he doesn't smile now. His eyes flicker, searching for answers, trying to re-download the new version of his opponent who somehow transformed from a battering ram to a chess player. Somewhere behind the ropes, the trainers are yelling, but their words fade beneath the roar. Because now this is no longer about game plans. It's about survival. What began as an exhibition of contrast is becoming a war of attrition. Every step, every feint, every punch carries consequence. Lesnar smells blood, but he's not reckless. That's the most terrifying part. He's patient. And Usyk, for all his brilliance, is being asked a new question. Can he outthink someone who's learning in real time? The crowd doesn't know who to cheer for anymore. They came expecting dominance from Usyk, maybe a flash knockout from Brock. What they're witnessing is something else. A slow descent into chaos wrapped in strategy, where every fighter is peeling layers off the other. And just as everyone settles into this new rhythm, The arena holds its breath again, because Brock, chest heaving, backs up, just a step. Not out of exhaustion, but with a look that says he's not done playing yet. He taps his gloves together and grins. It's that grin that sends a chill through the building. The one that means he has something left. Something the world hasn't seen. But what? Before the answer can come, the bell sounds. Not for the end of a round, for something else. Someone ringside is waving at the official. The referee steps toward the ropes, confusion on his face. A sudden buzz flows through the media row. No one's sure what's happening, only that whatever it is, it's not part of the script. Lesnar glances toward the commotion, but doesn't drop his guard. Usyk, still catching his breath, holds his ground, eyes locked forward. The fighters don't know what's coming next. Neither does the crowd. Because just when the fight was reaching its most crucial moment, something's changed. And not even the fighters can tell whether it's for better or worse. It wasn't a malfunction, nor a medical call-out. It was something no one could have anticipated. From the ringside area, a representative from one of the sanctioning bodies stepped onto the apron, holding up a sheet of paper. The referee leaned in, took a glance, and instantly his expression darkened with disbelief. Cameras tried to zoom in. Commentators fumbled to make sense of it. And even the fighters broke their locked stances for a brief moment of confusion. The message was clear but shocking. A clause buried deep in the event contract had just been triggered. A final round stipulation, agreed upon in the event of a tie or draw, would convert the fight into a no-limits, untimed final round. One last exchange to settle it. No scoring. No corners. No bell to save anyone. Just two men and one victor. The crowd erupted into a mix of gasps and roaring approval. Lesnar raised his eyebrows, then nodded slowly, almost amused by the madness of it all. Usyk's corner shouted something in Ukrainian, but he never took his eyes off Brock. He knew what this meant. He'd have to abandon the usual rhythm, the slow build. This wasn't about points anymore. It was about who could survive. And just like that, without warning, the final round began. Lesnar charged with a fury unlike anything we'd seen from him all night. He wasn't just looking to hurt, he was looking to finish. But this time, Usyk didn't retreat. He stood firm, dug into the pocket, and met power with timing. Right hook, left cross, duck under the return. For every bong Lesnar threw, Usyk answered with sniper-like precision. It was a storm of violence and technique, raw strength clashing against relentless focus. The fight devolved into something primal and breathtaking all at once. Brock managed to land a brutal uppercut that snapped Usyk's head back. His legs buckled for a half second, but before Lesnar could follow through, a short right to the liver froze him in place. Neither man fell. Neither man surrendered. They stood in the eye of the storm, bleeding, gasping, striking, dodging, like titans trading pieces of their souls. Seconds stretched into a strange kind of silence, the crowd frozen, not daring to blink. And then came the twist no one saw coming. Usyk, out of nowhere, stopped moving. He stood, hands low, expression calm, as if he'd forgotten the war around him. Lesnar hesitated, unsure if it was a trap, and that's when Usyk did something no fighter had done before. He reached up, pulled his mouthguard halfway out, and smiled, not with arrogance, but with understanding. He knew he couldn't outlast Brock in a slugfest. So instead of finishing it with fists, he finished it with a statement. He stepped back, just once, raised both hands slowly, and sat down in the center of the ring. Gasps cut through the stadium like blades. The referee froze. Lesnar stared, unsure whether to charge or wait. But Usyk just looked up and mouthed two words. Take it. In that moment, everything shifted. Brock didn't rush forward. He didn't throw the final blow. He walked to the center slowly, looked down at the man who had just surrendered on his own terms, and did something equally unexpected. He dropped to a knee beside him. No celebration, no posturing. Just two warriors, drenched in sweat and blood, acknowledging that neither one had broken the other, only reached a different kind of finish line. The crowd, stunned into silence, finally erupted, not with cheers for a winner, but for the moment itself. Something about it felt bigger than the fight, bigger than the rules. The commission had no choice but to declare Lesnar the winner by technical submission, as Usyk had chosen not to continue. But no one cared about the ruling. The real victory was in the respect forged between two men who defied expectations and rewrote the script in real time. In the end, it wasn't about boxing versus MMA. It wasn't about who had the stronger punch or the better footwork. It became about what happens when two elite athletes push past ego and pride to show the world something more human, more raw, and more real than any knockout could provide. As Lesnar raised a bruised hand and Usyk rose to his feet, the crowd stood not for a winner, but for a war that gave them something they'd never forget. And just as the lights dimmed and the final camera cut away, a message flashed on the screen. The line between worlds just got erased. But what if there's one more fight?